Warning, the voices heard in this video are made synthetically using artificial intelligence. Nothing in this video reflects anything actually stated by the real-life individuals involved. This video is for entertainment purposes only, and serious political content will be avoided for that purpose. Enjoy!
Hey all, we're back in the Fade, and I don't mean to throw shade, but some demons will taste my blade and then we will get paid.
Sheesh, good bars, Barry.
Well, that was straight heat, Barack. It doesn't cure the pure, unadulterated age that is the Fade sequence of origins.
Fear not, Donald. By the end of the day, our warden will free his waifus from the dream world and curb stomp a sloth demon as well as a pride demon so that we can add our first faction to our army.
You made it sound so epic, but we are recruiting the pissant mages and not the badass paladins, so it's really not a win in my book.
Hey, Donald, your voice sounds different again. What happened?
Oh, right, I have a theory on that, Joe. You see, poor business decisions like what 11 Labs has done activated my anger and Conker's hockey, which caused my mic to short circuit last episode. But I have since found good coping mechanics, such as deep breathing.
My God, is this character growth?
That's cool, Donald, but what are you looking at on your phone there? Rule 34/Morgans.
Shut up, Joe, don't break the magic.
Well, here we have our first transformation and our first objective in the Fade sequence. We have to find 3 more dreamers to unlock their forms so we can pass through the obstacles that the Fade puts in our way, such as firewalls, spirit doors, and locked steel doors. So, while solo combat may be annoying, the forms at least give us some variety in combat. Also, peep the Black City in the background, good thumbnail and lore consistency from BioWare.
Wow, Obama, that was such a beautiful description. It almost makes up for how tedious and terrible this combat in front of us is. You can pretty up a stinking pile of shit as much as you like. The point still remains, this is one of the most hated sections in this game. Skip the Fade is one of the top 10 most downloaded mods because the Fade tint burns the eyes. The single combat is tedious. There's barely any lore. Side quests or cutscenes here, and the bosses here are all just higher health versions of the demons we already fought. This area is just terrible, and even you are trying to rush through this as quickly as possible, Barack.
I think Barry was just trying to be positive, Donald. I appreciate the lore consistency in the Fade, the creativity of the transformations, and the buffs offered here to show the game designers put some thought into the dream world. Though I will say, despite that it still takes me several hours to get out of here, and I fall asleep looking at the damn Fade tint more than once.
I think that might be your default setting, Joe. Also, I get it. You too, the Fade sequence is very tedious and tiring, but I have to give credit where credit is due. They really tried to give an experience that is different from every other section in this game, from the classic dungeon diving experience, by offering new forms and puzzles. I think the biggest issue with the Fade is that it is a single combat experience. Even with the forms giving the warden new ways to fight, this game was not meant for a single character experience. And this sequence forces you to play by yourself for over 2 hours.
2 hours for us, you guys on the other side. Get the abridged version.
True enough, Joe. But as I was saying, I think if we were able to add our companions back into our party earlier, when we free them from the nightmares and get access to those nightmares earlier, say after 1 or 2 demon bosses, I think a lot of complaints about this segment would disappear. I know it's just wishful thinking, but if they ever want to Legendary Edition, the Dragon Age series, I think just altering the Fade sequence a little could go a long way. Or even just expanding on the Fade forms more, balancing solo combat to make it flow easier could help this section.
Nah, nothing's improving this, just download the mod viewers. Also, damn, even in the Fade we can't avoid the dark spawn. We have a whole dungeon filled with nothing but them.
Well, to be fair, the Fade is the origin of the taint, so that makes some sense. But I agree, just when we were getting some variety with the demons, the darkspawn have to pop back up to remind us who the main villain is. Anyways, we got our spirit form, so we can go back to the first area and fight our first mini-boss to be one step closer in getting out of here. Before that, we should unlock our third form since we needed the spirit form to progress.
We can also unlock a lot of the stat buffs now that we have the spirit form. I'm not sure how many our editor will show, since we are strapped for time, but Barry will unlock them all, and I'm sure bring them up when he can. It's just in his nature.
Bro sounds more skittish and blank-headed than Joe does.
I told you I just had too much coffee. It's not because I had several Red Bull suppositories and Viagra in my system.
I guess while we are just complaining, I will throw something else out there that has always bothered me. That whole scene with the imposter Duncan never really sat right with me. This is a game that thrives so hard on the 2-hour origin we play. Our origins involve several other scenes with our warden. And yet the Sloth demon thinks that Duncan, someone we only knew a few weeks at most, is the most ideal world to put us in. I feel like that was a missed opportunity to not have a unique scene depending on origin. Like maybe in our case, Belen, Trayan, Garim, and our father are all here to welcome our coronation as the new king.
If that was the case, I think everyone would love the Fade. The unique companion scenes are probably the only part of the Fade that everyone can agree they enjoy. If they combine those with the unique origin scene, this mission might have been S tier.
I agree, boys, but in defense, the main mission of our warden is to end the blight. So I imagine it is something our character finds personally important. However, y'all are right. Unique origins would have been way more memorable and fit the overall theme of Dragon Age. It was probably a lack of design time on the part of BioWare.
Also, in the interest of time, I convinced Barack to not talk to Niall more than he has too, so you're welcome for that, viewers.
It didn't take much convincing, Donald. Like I said, we have a lot to get through while still keeping the content engaging for all our viewers. A few things to note is that he is voiced by Liam O'Brien, who you may know as Vax from Critical Role. He is a very talented voice actor overall. He also has unique lines after accomplishing almost anything in the Fade sequence, like defeating a boss or freeing our companions. And he offers a little more insight into Uldred's plot and how he had hoped to stop him with the litany before being trapped by the Sloth demon. But again, I figured I would just give a summary in the interest of time.
You know, I didn't notice the Vax thing until you said it, but they did pick an excellent voice actor for someone to convey that they are sucked dry and depressed.
Phrasing Donald. But yeah, Liam did a good job conveying the hopeless situation Niall is in. His body and soul are slowly being consumed. Internally and externally, his home is being overtaken by demons and his friends are getting killed one by one.
Damn, bro is in worse shape than I thought. No wonder he sounds so defeated and depressed.
Yeah, we were clowning him for his depressive episode, but given that he knows the situation he is in is fatal, he doesn't have any reason to be hopeful.
Well, we can make it up to the poor guy by saving all his friends.
Bo.
And just like that, we got the burning form, only one more to go, but I think we should hit the first map now and take care of the first boss.
Sounds good, and good shit picking up the extra buffs too, Barry.
Thank God he has the map of every Origins dungeon scanned in his mind.
I've just racked up a lot of hours since the end of my term. And speaking of viewers, don't forget to redo the loop of the Raw Fade. Again, after you get the spirit form, there is a few stat buffs to grab if you backtrack. Don't forget to go back to the Duncan Dream for a free stat buff too.
Oh shit, it's another Desire demon. How many of these OnlyFans demons do you have to fight?
Not to worry, Joe, watch me cook here.
Obama, your cooking is lighting the White House on fire. You've got our cold spell, spam weight still weighing on us, and she's spit roasting you with the shades. Oh, and look, now she's throwing out that cursed dance shit you were talking about last episode.
God damn it, and now she inflicted me with horror. A damn Morgana Q in League would last only slightly longer than this shit, and I could at least spam funny emotes while I wait.
Yeah, let me just finish filing my taxes while we wait for these stuns to end.
I did mine last episode when you were fighting them, Joe.
Donald, don't lie on camera, it's rude.
Yeah, you're right, but I did rewatch the entire Wano arc of One Piece during your Desire Demon fights, so it took almost as much time as taxes. Another problem with this Fade sequence is how easy you can get stuck on higher difficulties depending on your class. In our case, we are tanky enough to survive these fights, but we don't necessarily have enough damage to take care of these fights quickly. Also, since we are a dwarf, We can't take advantage of the lyrium veins for free healing and stamina regen. I know it's good for lore reasons, but it's annoying for us as players.
Honestly, with how this fight is going, I can believe that Donald, anyways, looks like she's clapped up now. So time to collect the essence and the codex entry and be on our way.
To be fair, Donald, that is kind of why the transformations exist in this game. The forms have several damaging spells in them that can take care of enemies, and the golem form that we will get in a moment gives good tanking opportunities for the more squishy wardens. It still makes solo combat terrible, but the versatility the designers gave still helps out at least.
Yeah, not to worry. He'll try to show off how to effectively use the forms, boys. But fun fact about the Mage Asunder map, most of the mages in this mode start fighting each other if you start sneaking around in stealth. So sneaking around and waiting for the last mage standing is ideal, since it doesn't affect your XP grind, but it does mean you only have to fight one mage instead of 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to miss if you are just running in or you just don't know the spawn locations.
You mean playing the correct way like a man, Joe?
You know, Donald, I can respect the balls to the walls way in which you play, but sometimes you have to respect the enemies up ahead of you. I know we are close to the mid to late game where our build will be complete and we will be nigh unkillable, but respecting your enemies. So you don't get clapped up is still important overall.
Now, I am all about high risk, high reward. Burn through your resources, use your 5th level spell slot on Holy Smite turn 1 in D&D. Solo fight the dragon, biotic charge into the heavy mech.
Eat that 5th Big Mac, don't report your actual income and taxes. Go off Queen.
Fuck you, Sleepy.
This section here is why we got the last 3 forms first. You need the burning form to get the golem form. And to get the burning man form, you need the sprit form. Then once you have all 4, you can do the Templar's Nightmare, which is like the final test in the Fade. I know it's easy to get lost in this section, but once you learn the optimal path in the Fade, it feels rather short, honestly.
The problem is, Barack, that only you and our editor are big enough virgins to actually know the most optimal path in this damn dream sequence legit. Whether you're Joe or a pro gamer, it doesn't matter. This place is so repetitive and tedious, anyone can get lost. Still good shit optimizing, Barack.
I will try not to take that the wrong way, Donald, I guess.
Take it however you want, Sleepy. I'm just being real.
Well, love you too, big fella. Anyways, what's the deal with all these mages? Not only are they insane and killing each other, but I just realized this is the only place that has more than 1 or 2 humans in it, and not monsters.
Well, given this map is more similar to the Circle Tower than the others, combined with the dialogue of mages talking with each other, and even taking some manic version of a class, I'm thinking this might be souls that were consumed by Sloth in the Circle Tower and have been completely broke, similar to how Niall is slowly breaking currently. Hell, these people may have even been Niall's comrades who tried to help get him the litany.
If that's the case, though, why don't we see their bodies next to Sloth?
Maybe he eats them?
Jesus, that's dark.
I can see it. I like my mage liver served raw with extra chili sauce. Fun fact.
I can't tell if you're making an edgy reference to Rex or you're being genuine.
Why not both? This yelling asshole over here would make a good contender.
We are changing the subject. With that, we have our 4th and final transformation, the golem form, so we can go back and open a lot of the locked doors in the Burning Tower, Mage Tower, and Darkspawn Tower from earlier.
I like how the solution to locked doors is just chucking a big-ass rock. But yeah, viewers, this form is probably the strongest form overall. It's vulnerable to magic, but that's not common in this dungeon, and it has strong area of effect and single target damage. So it's pretty much the go-to form now that we have it.
The golem is basically a copy and paste of Shale's pulverizing blows skill tree. But if I clown this too, Barack might castrate me, so I'll just say the form is way more useful than the others, which are mostly situational.
Oh, thank you for that. Donald, now let's do a quick cut ahead, since all these fights are going to be the same boring fights with golems and chantry dudes.
We are going to be cutting a lot more now, since really all we have to do is fight the 4 remaining mini-bosses and free our girls. Barry, of course, is going to get all the stat buffs to level our little guy up, but we are going to do most of that off-screen, since it's just going to be backtracking now.
I would usually cringe at the thought of backtracking, but all these stat buffs will make the remainder of the game way easier.
Good shit, boys. And yeah, Donald, you are correct. As tedious as it may be, if you are truly dead set on fighting, who I think you are going to fight next episode, then we are going to need every advantage we can get. And these stat buffs are going to soar us into mid-game.
Oh boy, Donald's going to tackle that quest next. Editor, get our death compilation fired up and ready to go.
Screw you, Sleepy, just watch my redemption next episode. But since we are getting stat upgrades and we are nearing the end of the first main quest, I can show a tiny bit of humility and say the Circle Tower was a good first stop, mostly since we get Morrigan's Grimoire, but the stat buffs help too. So even though Orzammar would have been more fun, good shit, boys.
How sweet, thanks, Donald.
Honestly, Donald, I feel like you're just saying that since you didn't have to play any part of the Circle Tower. But I will accept the humility either way. I'm glad we can stop bitching at each other for a few minutes.
You know, when you put it that way, I think the Fade Energies is doing something to me that I don't like. Let's get back into bickering. Brock, do you have a comment question prepped for us?
So I do, in fact, have one, and it's relevant to Morrigan's quest that we were just talking about. It's not exactly relevant to the Fade section, but I couldn't think of a good Fade comment question other than what Fade demon could you take in a fight? So since Donald is going to give the Grimoire to Morrigan next episode and start a chain of events to finish her quest, I think we have to come to terms with the fact that a romance is going to be locked in very soon. And if you two don't decide soon, things are going to get very dramatic in camp. So for you two, it's time to decide before we leave the Fade. We will make the choice. Look deep in your soul or your horny levels and choose between Morrigan or Liliana.
What is this, the goddamn Bachelorette? Yeah, anyways, you already know Morrigan is my one true wife. She is not only a 10 out of 10 goth mommy who could spit in my mouth and I would thank her, but she is also a lore essential companion in this game, as well as Inquisition, and our relationship with her can span both games. Morrigan is just as an essential to the party as our Warden and Alistair are, which is why she is the third companion we recruit. She is a pivotal and intelligent character in game, and therefore we can consider her a equal in our relationship rather than a crush. We also will get a more satisfying ending during the last DLC in this series, Witch Hunt, where we can get a happy ending where we raise the god baby together, as well as a scene where we kiss and enter the mirror together, which would be a perfect ending to our series. I think Morrigan just fits our Warden better too. The Dwarven Noble is framed as someone who grew up in an environment where he had to be the best and stay on his toes, a real survival of the fittest mentality, which fits Morrigan's survival of the fittest mentality. And our little guy grew up in Orzammar and would have no reason to believe in the Maker, which is Liliana's strongest personality trait right now.
Okay, that's going to be tough to beat. What are your opinions, Joe?
Liliana is a total baddie. She has red hair and a beautiful accent. She is in all three games. She also has her own DLC. Our relationship with the Warden would also extend into Inquisition as well. She also, in my opinion, has the most interesting and tragic backstory out of every other Origins companion, and she deserves a happy ending here. Plus, she got legs for days.
Morrigan is just as tragic and also deserves a happy ending, Joe. Almost every reason you are listing is relevant to Morrigan as well. And Morrigan's DLC is the true ending of Origins and the Warden story, which means it's better than Liliana's song.
Donald, if you don't let me romance Liliana, I will white out Congress's TikTok bill ban and replace it with the ban YouTube bill I'm going nuclear.
Joe, you dementia-ridden ass eater, I'm not even going to argue with your dumbass. I can't believe it's come to this, but Obama, step out of the neutral seat and settle this, Liliana or Morrigan.
First off, Joe, you are not abusing your executive power to ban YouTube. Don't make me come over there. Secondly, boys, I have already said I have no stake in this. And truth be told, I don't really like either of the female romance options in this game.
Explain.
All right, well, I just feel like both Morrigan and Liliana are not mentally mature enough or stable enough to really be in a relationship right now. Morrigan clearly has no idea what she wants in a relationship. She says on the surface she just wants casual sex, but will disapprove and confront you if you try to date someone else. She also will refuse continuing the romance. If you reach the love affection level because she is outright scared to be in a serious relationship, the relationship then stays in limbo until the end of the game and witch hunt, which just feels like a more poorly executed version of Jack's romance from Mass Effect 2, and I'm just not enthused with all those red flags. Liliana, on the other hand, at least knows what she wants in a relationship, but I feel like she is not over her ex at all. Her damn companion quest is taking care of her ex, and my name is not Scott Pilgrim. Then even after you take care of her, she mentions a few times how important she was to her and how she loved her before jumping into bed with the warden. I just don't want to feel like I am being compared to someone else, especially a toxic and manipulative ex. Truthfully, I feel like Alistair and Zevran are much better options in terms of a healthy romance.
Barack, you could have married a man, shoved your tongue down his throat and had a blended family with him, and that would somehow be less gay. Then everything you just said.
All right, I was just trying to have a discussion, but fuck me, I guess.
Do you even like women, Barry?
Well, I love my wife.
That doesn't count.
Well, I also like Cassandra. She stays on business and feels like an equal to the Inquisitor, but is also a deep romantic.
Well, that's a little better, but it doesn't solve our damn problem in this game.
All right, well, if we can't have a peaceful debate about our romance options, then it's time for step 2, compromise. So we both know you guys are immovable about Origins. But what about Dragon Age 2? Are you boys as die-hard in that game for your waifus?
Well, personally, I am a Isabella Main. What about you, Joe?
Meryl, all the way, she is the cutest elf in the lands.
Of course you are, you fucking creep.
Okay. Donald, are you as die-hard for Isabella as Morrigan?
Not even close. Isabella's hot in all the right places, but Morrigan has the dommy goth. Mommy attitude, you can't beat that.
So if Joe concedes on Morrigan here, would you be willing to concede on Isabella in 2?
I guess long as we still get to bang her.
Deal.
All right, thank God I think the bickering has finally stopped after almost 6 hours of filming. Well, with the debate ended, I'm sure you have noticed we have been sort of clearing through the bosses in the Fade. Not really too much to say on these fights. So figured we would talk about something else, and now it's time to come to arguably the peak of the Fade sequence, the companion nightmares, which all give a unique insight into our companions that we otherwise wouldn't know if we don't see it here, since these sequences are the companion's innermost fears or desires. First up, we have Wynne, who is probably the least interesting of the bunch. It's simply a nightmare where she sees her apprentices dead before her. It does give insight into how important her being a teacher and guide for the next generation is, however, and shows that she can only lose hope if the next generation is gone, not if she's gone, which is admirable.
Yeah, nothing negative to say here. The companion nightmares and the boss fight are the only two positives I will say about the Fade.
So I hate to be that guy, since I feel like Barry is normally the one who calls stuff like this out, but it makes no sense that Wynne wouldn't know this is the Fade or a trick by demons. Not only is she a skilled senior enchanter who has at least been in the Fade a few times before, but as we learn in her companion quest in the novel Asunder, Wynne is spirit sensitive and should definitely be able to tell when demons are at work. This feels like a definite plot hole.
You have a point, Joe, that doesn't really make sense. I think Asunder, since it was written years later, sort of added in how spirit-sensitive mages work, and the writers didn't really have a good idea of how spirit sensitivity worked in the world of Dragon Age yet. But even if I don't count the changes Asunder added, you still have a point. A senior enchanter should definitely have some safety measures in place. To identify the Fade, this really doesn't make much sense.
Sounds like a total Wynne skill issue if you ask me, boys. She probably fell for it since she's getting up there. I mean, the Sloth demon worked on Joe, and that was without all the Fade hijinks and energies actually physically affecting him.
Hey, the Fade does things to people if almost every companion in Origins and too falls prey to its influence. I won't fault myself for being slightly confused last episode. It was my longest one by a mile, too.
Slightly confused is your default goddamn setting, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, I am not going to defend the fraud allegations. After that one, you fell asleep during your own playthrough and put our content at risk.
Oh, please, the internet loves the Biden slip-ups. It's part of my charm.
Yeah, sure. Keep telling yourself that. I'm sure the nursing home attendants will listen to you.
Well, thankfully, Wynn helps us fight here since we are still a persuasive son of a bitch. Not that we really needed it since it's 3 easy mages, but still always nice to be rewarded by leveling up the most overpowered skill in the game.
Yeah, it's a huge toss-up as to whether BioWare or Bethesda makes persuasion skills more overpowered in their games. I mean, both designers make speech the ultimate solution to most conflicts.
Well, BioWare doesn't give us the option to use speech to defeat the Archdemon or Corypheus. So I think Bethesda and Obsidian wins their, seriously, new Vegas hypes up this badass legate who can cut a Brahmin in half with one swipe, and then a 100 speech skill just auto wins against him.
Careful, Barry. New Vegas fans are extra combative. I wouldn't trash their game. It's dangerous for your health.
Fair enough. Well, we will find Wynn later since BioWare did not include my suggested changes of adding party members after saving them, but we are almost done with the Fade.
Yeah, the Fade sucks. Can you go and rescue the waifus now, Barack?
Sadly, before I can rescue them, we have one more dungeon to complete, and it is the longest one.
Oh, God, well, can you go ahead and ask your comment question? You never asked it in our debate.
Oh, shit, I forgot.
That confirms Joe's dementia is contagious.
So my comment question, viewers, related to the debate earlier is, who is your favorite romance in the Dragon Age series? Mine is Cassandra, because, as I said, not only is she someone who is equal to your player, but she also has a deep romantic side to her, which was surprising and made me soften up to her. And I find her romance very sweet overall. It's endearing to have this gruff and blunt character be a huge romantic at heart. The cutscene where you catch her reading a romance novel immediately made her one of my favorite characters in Inquisition.
Barry likes the muscle mommies. Well, personally, I can't decide between Meryl and Liliana as my favorite. They are both just as adorable. I think Liliana wins just out of the fact that it carries over in Inquisition and even Dragon Age 2 partially. However, Meryl is one of the sweetest romances in the game, and she is one of the most intelligent and interesting characters in the series. Her romance also goes really well with Hawke's story, since both of them may have lost their old family, but they can come together and start a new family together. It's really hard to choose just one in this series, and I'm sure some of our viewers will have multiple answers as well.
I think you just have a thing for elves, Joe.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyways, I know this may be cheating, but as everyone could already guess, Morrigan is my favorite romance for all the reasons I've already said before, but also additionally because we can have a child with her and start an actual family together, canonically for years before we have to go our separate ways. That is just peak fiction, boys.
Excellent take, boys. All right, viewers, let us know who your favorite romance option is in the Dragon Age series and why. Our editor will respond to every single comment as always, and he will pick his favorite one to feature in his video. And with that, Joe Mind showing our featured comment of last episode.
Our featured comment from our Mages versus Templars question comes from the Reaper, who gave a very detailed and intelligent response, siding with a more moderate view on the Circle, which is very similar to how Barry answered last episode too. He goes into how if mages have too much power and freedom like in Tevener, that power would likely corrupt many mages into the dark side, which is a good point. Magic still does likely need restrictions. He also says the right of tranquility is needlessly cruel, which everyone except Donald can agree with that one. Also, this wasn't about the comment question, but a few vigilant viewers commented on Liliana's vision about the rose is the same rose that Alistair picks up in Lothering if you romance him, which is admittedly really funny, and got a chuckle out of our editors, so thanks for the catch there. Can't wait to see everyone's thoughts on the question this episode.
Thank you for that, Joe. Can't wait to see what everyone says. Anyways, viewers, this dungeon I think is the most interesting as it acts as sort of a final test of the gameplay you've learned for the last hour or so. You need all 4 forms just to get through it, and it offers the most variety of enemies out of all the dungeons.
Oh God, does that mean you are going to showcase the entire dungeon and put us all to sleep, Barack?
Absolutely not. It's still a damn fade dungeon, and I'm getting close to a cutoff point, but I thought I'd give some praise here at least.
Well, as boring as this dungeon is, I will give you your flowers, Barry. You really did play optimally today, switching out between the forms and our warden perfectly. Don't think I didn't notice that.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it, big guy.
Oh boy, we got our 75th Desire Demon fight in this quest. I wonder what combination of Cone of Cold and Horror she will use today.
I would clown you for the repeating joke, but if BioWare can do it, then so can we.
Well, we have all 4 forms now, so we might be able to burst her down, although I don't want to risk the golem form since it is weak to magic, so let's just see what we can do without for now.
Yep, and there's the Cone of Cold she is cooking right now. Time to hit up TurboTax.
Man, this would be a great pivot into a sponsor if the algorithm wasn't a coward in showing our true form.
God damn it, this is total bullshit.
Holy shit, it's a never-ending cycle at this point. I actually feel bad for you, Barry.
Yeah, if this was me, all the keys would be flying across the White House right now.
Oh hell no, we are not doing that again. That took like 30 minutes to pop all of them back in place.
I think I've figured out the real problem with this quest. It's the stupid, sexy desire demons. If they didn't stun lock our characters for 2 hours during their fights, this quest's time length would be cut in half.
Well, all I will say is that this is the last one and I didn't get folded by her. So let's pick up the last stat buff and go save the waifus.
Thank God I have been sniff deprived from you for too long, my love. Let's never separate again.
Hey, Joe, that wasn't the agreement.
We can still romance Morrigan, but that doesn't mean I am giving up my devotion to Lyanna. Nothing could stop that.
Close one door, but the flooding is still coming from the back.
Wait, Lyanna, you don't remember me? Oh God, after all we have shared and been through, how could this happen?
Total skill issue on the bard's part. I don't think anyone else gets amnesia in the Fade except her.
Yeah, I think this could be a sign as to how influential the warden and their mission is to Liliana that the Sloth demon had to give her amnesia to be trapped in blissful ignorance.
Where the fuck are today's nuclear launch codes? I am going full scorched earth on this demon fuck. You take away my girl's memories, I take away your whole useless existence, Sloth.
Joe, please, for the love of God, do not launch missiles randomly trying to find the Fade. Look. See, we still have high persuasion, so we can snap her right out of it.
Damn, I almost wanted to see Demon Joe. That would be a real treat to brighten this damp day.
Thank God my girl catches on quick to this bullshit.
You are going nowhere, girl. I will not permit it.
Huh, weird. I thought Liliana would fight with us since we passed the speech check.
Damn, she really is proving her total skill issue right now.
She just needs her prep time first, like Batman. Give her a minute.
Prep time is not getting her off Fraud Watch. I mean, just look at her. She's cowering right now.
Well, Fraud Watch or no, that was probably the easiest fight of the episode. I didn't even have to break out the forms for that one.
Well, now that we got the B-tier waifu, we can move on to our actual waifu this playthrough and what the viewers were waiting for, freeing Morrigan.
I can't wait for the comments in this episode to start siding with Liliana just so I can get the final laugh, Lil D.
Never going to happen. Our viewers have taste anyways. She's showing her peak performance right away by being the only one besides our warden who realizes this is the Fade and that this Flemeth is obviously a demon.
Well, Sten can realize it too, which offers interesting facet into Qunari soldier training, that they somehow prepare their troops for being sent into the Fade and recognizing the Fade likely, because they fight a lot of T-Vinter blood mages and demons who employ that strategy. Morrigan being able to recognize the trick is likely due to either the fact she is a uniquely powerful mage because she is the daughter of Flemeth and therefore mythal, or because Flemeth simply trained her to avoid the tricks of the Fade.
Either way, she is just built different, and she has this demon stumbling, trying to figure out how to handle her, and it's worse than Joe trying to make a speech.
All right, I will give you that one, Donald, but on to the point. If all these dreams are our companions' worst fears or ideal worlds, then does that mean deep down Morrigan's ideal world is just having a mother who loves and cares for her? That's really sad when you look at it.
Aw, poor girl, come to Daddy Trump.
Gross, but you have a point, Joe. This dream does show that Morrigan likely is searching for a family to call her own, despite her on-the-surface, cold attitude, and it branches nicely with her story arc in Inquisition. Her perception of the Fade is also a hint at her special lineage, thanks to Flemeth.
I just realized, Barry, that this Sloth bitch is your first actual boss of the run. Now, we each have at least one boss health enemy under our belt since Donald fought the mage boss 2 episodes ago.
Well, given the time left in the episode, I have a feeling I will be taking 2 bosses down in this episode with Uldred. So that means you and me, Joe, are tied up at 2, and Donald has to play catch-up to us.
We are really going to count Abomination 6406 from last episode.
Yes.
You made a dangerous enemy, demon, by toying with my mind.
You will not hold us, demon. We found each other in this place, and you cannot stand against us.
Damn wind casually dropping a shonen-level friendship speech here. Someone get Naruto on the line so my boy can get new material.
Seriously, it feels like all 4 of us are about to do some kind of Bond art attack, like in One Piece Odyssey.
Oh shit, editor, do your thing, but we should play that game for the viewers. Sometime we could give some cultured takes on that game.
I wouldn't be opposed to branching out with a few one-shots, Joe, but we should be careful since our editor runs a Dragon Age channel, and we have found plenty of fans in this run. So we want to focus on giving the viewers what they want.
We should definitely do some unique games. If we do, there is so many talented alternative versions of us that do Pokemon and Call of Duty. So we don't want to step on anyone's toes with that.
Excellent point, boys. Well, while we are just fighting the boss, I think it's time for a new segment I will call Obama's Obscure Observations, which is basically just me rambling about game mechanics like normal, but now it has a cool title. So even on Nightmare, you don't have to use the forms here with the right build and AI manipulation, but each of his forms, except for the last one, actually has a weakness to the 4 forms we have gained during the Fade. The first form is weak to the Sprit form spell, so you should get those off immediately. And then if you're not a tank like we are, you should switch to the Golem form to resist his attacks. Then when he switches into his Rage form, use the Sprit form's Winter Grasp, then switch to the Burning Man to tank all his damage. The 3rd and 4th forms are not anything threatening, but Sprit form does really good damage against them and resists their attacks. The final form is his strongest since he has top-level elemental spells, but he is also the weakest in terms of physical resistance. So I recommend tossing him around with Golem form and then shield abilities if you have them. A very nice touch by the game designers to give each of these forms a weakness to the forms we have gathered in this section. It really does tie into the unique gameplay here, even if this section is a swing and a miss because of the length and tedium.
Once again, Big Yapper Obama comes in clutch.
Still a bottom tier mission, but at least we are at the fun shit now with the double bosses coming up. Still, though Barack, you do more tricks on BioWare with glazing this mission up than I've ever seen anyone do before. It's like they paid you $20 or something the way you're going on it.
Shut up. I just feel like the stigma of the Fade is that everyone hates it, so I'm trying to give BioWare their flowers here. Just how I gave Logain some grace and Ostagar for retreating.
I think you just like going against the grain, Barry, maybe just for the content and engagement.
Joe Donald is right. You have to stop breaking the magic of our series.
You'll never silence the truth, Barry.
Wait, seeing that shade boss just made me remember I fought the damn demon in the wilds in episode 2 and he had boss health.
I mean, does that really count, though?
Joe, shut your old ass up. If the abomination from last episode counts, then so does that shade, which means we are all tied up at 2 now once Barack beats Uldred.
Yeah, I will give him that. Joe, the Abomination last episode was super easy too, so it's not about the difficulty of the boss. If they have a boss health bar, we count it.
Fine, fair enough. It looks like he has entered his final form time to lock in.
Well, first boss down, so I will give you some props on defeating your first boss, Barack.
You know, technically this boss has 5 forms, so I could, in theory, count 6 bosses defeated this episode.
Oh, hell no, the boss isn't defeated until it dies. This is one boss with multiple forms, not multiple bosses.
I would have given that to you, Barry. Guess we are outvoted.
You defeated the demon. I never expected you to free yourself. To free us both. When you return.
Well, here we have Liam O'Brien having one more depressive episode in front of us before we return to the real world. Honestly, I don't know what it is about his speech here, but it actually does make me feel something for the mages here. And his plea almost makes me want to save the mages here. That is until I remember they are filthy mages, and they did this to themselves.
Damn, Donald, it's almost like you have sympathy for a fellow human being who did everything he could to save the only home he knows, and now his only hope is a friendly stranger.
Yeah, it's super weird.
Well, here Niall tells us to grab the litany, which is required if you want to recruit the mages. It's important to note, using it in the Uldred fight doesn't lock you out of the Templars, but not using it does lock you out of the mages.
So there is still a chance you guys can make the right choice.
No, there isn't. Me and Barry are united on this front.
I still have a few more moments to poke that hive, but one thing I will say is I respect Niall for trying to go down fighting. Even if he didn't win, he still came up with a plan and tried to do what he can to be a hero.
That line about not disappointing his mother actually does make me genuinely care for this guy, even though I've only known him an hour. His last thoughts were of his mother, that he never really knew, and he hoped he made her proud. A moment of silence for Niall. He definitely is a great guy and character.
Acts of heroism, eh? You may be right. Before I was taken to the circle, my mother said I was meant for greatness. I would be more than my ancestors could have ever dreamed. I hope I haven't disappointed her.
So we did a big cut, viewers, after leaving the Fade and grabbing the litany, since the fights on the rest of the fourth floor were demons and undead that we have already fought numerous times. The only unique thing was some escaped baby dragons, which I imagine is the Dragon Age equivalent of test hamsters escaping from a college biology lab.
I will stay strong.
Time to meet one of the top 5 Husbando Dragon Age characters, Cullen.
Yeah, Cullen's going through a lot right now. He's been in this purple cage for weeks being tortured by abominations and blood mages. I suppose we can talk about him more since this is the only interaction we will get with him, in Origins at least. Cullen features in several of the endings. In Origins, because of his torture in the tower. Cullen becomes very paranoid after the events here. If we side with the Templars, eventually after the circle is rebuilt, Gregor steps down as Knight Commander, and Cullen takes his place, ruling through fear. If we side with the mages and give the circle independence at the end of the game, Cullen's ending is far more dark, as he snaps, killing 3 apprentices before escaping and becoming a mage serial killer.
However, all that shit is irrelevant, since instead of Cullen becoming a Chad Dexter, like mage serial killer, he just goes to therapy and transfers to Kirkwall, where he simps for the ultimate Knight Commander in Dragon Age, Meredith.
Yeah, the whole mage serial killer thing had a lot of potential in the series. It's a shame they didn't work with that.
I'm the only one left. They turned some into monsters and there was nothing I could do.
On a lighter note, if you play a female mage, you can flirt with Cullen during the origin, and when we meet him trapped here later, he lets it slip that he was in love with you as sort of a forbidden fruit type deal.
Again, Husbando material for all the lady and gay fans.
Fair, gotta love that inclusion.
You know, Cullen is speaking facts right now. The only good mage is a dead mage, better safe than sorry.
Ironically, even your beloved Morrigan points out how stupid it is to believe what Cullen says here, since he is very clearly traumatized and he is clearly delirious. Also, agreeing with Cullen here in executing the mages, because they might all be blood mages and dangerous causes win to turn against you here, and you have to fight and kill her, which also means you will be down a party member for the final boss, since you can add to your party.
Damn so agreeing with either Morrigan's correct opinion or Cullen's correct opinion causes the grandma's death sounds like she's hard to keep alive.
Something tells me she's just hard to keep alive in your playthroughs, Donald.
Well, let me just say I never knew about Wynn's second death point when meeting Cullen, and leave it at that.
Goddamn you, Donald. Well, speaking of vital companion points, there's a interaction here that always bugs me. Zevran, who is normally one of the less moral characters, actually sides against killing the mages here, simply because there is no sport in butchering them when they can't fight back, which is a weird stance for an assassin to take. I swear Zevran is probably the hardest companion to nail down morality-wise.
Common Zevranel. I swear I don't know which rogue is more annoying.
Normally I would be pissed at that shot at Liana, but I can't lie. Zevran can get on my nerves a lot, despite how charming he is supposed to come across.
Jesus, well, let's leave it there and say goodbye to Cullen for now, until we meet him in Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition, where we will have far more to say about him. Let's go fight the final boss of Broken Circle.
Doing, or one of his mages. Once they're dead, I will be free.
What kind of sick sexual blood mage BDSM is going on here?
And how do I sign up?
Heavy pause.
What, it's like a really intense car battery to the teats? And a larger audience, of course?
Joe, what in the hell are you talking about? I think he has finally lost it.
We may have lost him. We have reached the 50-minute point of this video.
Oh, damn, they are going in for the finishing blow, boys. Here comes the money shot.
Either Joe's lost in horny jail or our editor is...
Lillian, my love, I'm here.
That's it, get my bat. Joe, we are stopping this.
Never mind, this is too kinky even for me.
Let's kill every single one of these sexual mage deviants, starting with this Dr. Evil-looking bitch over here.
So this is Uldred, who we met in Ostagar, and explained that he was working with Loghain to free the Circle in exchange for Circle's help in Loghain's army. Unfortunately, during the meeting, when Wynne came back and ruined the deal by spilling the tea on Loghain's betrayal, Uldred summoned a horde of demons, and one pride demon overpowered him and took control. So Uldred really isn't here anymore. There's a lot of interesting points of lore about him. But I think Joe would be a better explainer than me, since this is his bread and butter.
All right, viewers, so Uldred's main role in the Circle is ironically a blood mage consultant, as we find a note in Irving's desk that praises Uldred on his skills in rooting out and identifying blood mages, but obviously he was keeping many blood mages under wraps in secret and only rooting out a few, which Uldred didn't need so he could keep his senior enchanter status. We can dive deeper into this with the mage origin, as our mage warden's close friend Jowan was a blood mage who ends up being discovered by the Templars, even if we don't rat him out ourselves. It's very likely Uldred taught Jowan blood magic, but when he didn't prove as strong as Uldred needed, he sold him out to Irving. We can dive further into this in Redcliffe, where we find out Jowan is working for Loghain, and guess who is suckling at Loghain's teat in the Circle as well? Besides Barry, I mean.
Okay, unnecessary strays there, Joe, but good shit. Otherwise. Also, obviously, if we are a mage, Uldred has some special dialogue here, but it's underwhelming since Uldred never meets the Warden in the origin. It really was a missed opportunity. If you ask me, I think if Uldred was set up as the antagonist directly in the mage origin, it would be far more rewarding, like when the human noble fights Hal.
Now that sacrilegious nothing tops the human noble killing Hal.
What have you done to him?
Yeah, I realized what I said after I said it, Donald.
Damn, Uldred is trying to set some kind of record for longest monologue in this game. Pride demons are apparently known for just yapping.
Glad it's not just me noticing.
Well, moving past the yap and getting into the fight, viewers, this boss is far easier than the Sloth demon, and even easier if you are siding with the mages, since siding with them involves using the litany and stopping his reinforcements. Uldred himself is more of just a anti-mage rather than an actual threat. His spells don't do nearly as much damage as Sloth, with the only threat being crushing prison. The reason I say he is anti-mage is he can use Mana Wave, which dispels all active effects, and Mana Clash, which drains all mana.
Oh, damn, and guess who gave us 2 damn mages to work with?
Eat a dick, Donald. You should be thankful I didn't kick Morrigan for Sten or something. I did that for you.
With the strength
Cap.
of a demon behind it would be unstoppable.
Yeah, I ain't trying to have a +1 inside me. I already have 2 man-children in my left and right ear.
Damn Uldred straight up said, I don't care about consent.
Damn, Wynn, I know I'm forgetful, but does she really have to drive in using the litany this much? Even I couldn't forget it at this point.
Yeah, the game designers really wanted to drive home using the litany.
This is what I mean by the sheer amount of mage propaganda in the Dragon Age series. I swear they have a damn agenda.
Who'll put down that tinfoil hat big guy?
Just you wait and see Sleepy anyways, Barak, since we have another boss fight ahead of us. Got any more divine knowledge to lay down on us?
Honestly, the best thing to do on Uldred is just have a tank, like our warden, stay on him the whole fight. The Pride Demon's AI doesn't handle casting spells really well if there is someone in melee range hitting them. They will cast spells far less often if that's the case. This is, again, more so a strategy if you choose to not use the litany, because using it makes this boss pretty free.
You know, it's funny, we mentioned something about desire demons being stat-wise stronger than pride demons, but now we even have sloth demons that are stronger than pride demons. Pride is really gonna have to step up their game.
Yes, Sloth being stronger than Uldred is just not a good look. Also, damn Barry, you are blitzing him so fast the cooldown for the litany can't keep up. This is free.
Yeah, you would really think Uldred would have more health than this.
Uldred is really scrambling to do something here. You really have the AI manipulation back in the palm of your hand.
Thank God I still got it, because honestly, we used more potions in the tower than I would have liked. We are really down to the wire here on supplies.
Thankfully, we have the goat wind to supplement our potions.
True enough time for Big B Obama to end this bald bitch.
Hang on, Barak, why was Morrigan the first and only one who went down? You trying to start something here?
It wasn't on purpose at all. Like I said, Uldred is anti-mage. Most of his attacks are made to interfere with mages.
However, if I do it, it is intentional.
Damn, and all we got from the final boss was an emerald and some gauntlets of fire. That's the definition of mid.
Yeah, if we were a pyromage, they would be decent. But as is, we want the polar gauntlets, not this.
I'm too old for this.
Well, just like that, we saved the circle now. All that's left is to guide old man down some stairs.
I have literally never seen what happens here. I always just go down the stairs and teleport to Gregor.
Fun fact, if I remember right, there was some cut content here during this final cutscene reporting back to Gregor. If you were a blood mage and still had win, and the party win will press you on your use of blood magic, and if you don't pass a speech check win, and the entire Templar Order and Irving would turn on you here, locking you out of both army choices.
That's literally insane. It would make the entire last 3 hours we have done pointless.
I think that was why it was chopped. It was way too punishing. For something as simple as a specialization also, there used to be dialogue to turn Morrigan into the Templars here.
Why the hell would anyone do that?
Well, if you're doing a true Templar playthrough, it makes sense. Morrigan would just escape capture, though, so all it does is make you lose a companion.
You know what they did?
My poor Morrigan, that option should be illegal. I'm glad they cut it.
We also have one final option to side with the Templars here. Even after saving the mages, we can convince Gregor that the mages may still be possessed, which leads to everyone but Wynn being locked up for observation. While still cruel, it's probably the most rational way to side with the Templars, since instead of going full scorched earth and killing everyone, it's simply being cautious of the dangers you have seen in the circle.
Go ahead and select that option, Barak. It's not as good as killing them, but it gets the job done.
Nope, now kiss all your Templar dreams goodbye, Donald.
Just you wait till Dragon Age 2?
Getting some red flag vibes over here.
I don't know what you mean, Joe. All I'm saying is I hope you enjoy all the magical friends you will meet in 2. Because I have a very specific plan in mind, especially for our 2 mage companions. I'm sure the viewers will love the content.
Donald, we had a deal with Meryl, don't you dare.
Your deal extended to romancing her, which I'm honoring. If you had something more in mind, you should have been specific. That's the art of the deal, Sleepy.
Donald, I feel like I'm going to have to get the Court of YouTube polls during our second playthrough, because something tells me you're going to unlock the Hidden Dark Urge ending of Dragon Age 2.
I wouldn't just leave it to the viewers. They live for the drama.
From what Gregor said, it seems that you came here seeking allies. against the Darkspawn. I would hate to survive this, only to be overcome by the Blight.
Just like that, boys, we have our first army ready and willing to stop the Blight.
Hell yeah! We also got the baddest grandma in the land's wind as our support.
The circle.
It will be weird to do a playthrough where she doesn't die, but I guess first time for everything. You cutting it off here, Barack?
Yeah, I think that will do it for now. We had a highly productive session, Donald. I will just ask you, fight the demon where we met Wynn at the start of your episode.
Well, you were productive this episode, but get ready for the most productive episode you have seen next time. I'm hitting my redemption arc.
Good job today, Barry. Thanks for getting us through the fade. Also, viewers, don't forget to like the video, to stick a thumb up my ass or something for asking for likes like every other YouTuber.
Thanks for playing with me, boys and viewers. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment your favorite Dragon Age romance down below. Our editor will feature a new comment next episode. With our first army recruited, we are one step closer to defeating the Archdemon and becoming the hero of Ferelden. So consider this the end of the first act of the game as we approach the mid-game. Tune in next time where we head to Orzammar, and I'm sure do plenty of surprise activities with Morrigan, but for now, stay safe. Obama out.